The first game week in the Premier League is officially over, and with that being said, I thought this would be a good video to make to recap all the games that we saw, recap all the score lines that we saw, and also talk about what this first game week means for these teams moving forward and what we learned from the first game. This is a new concept that I just came up with, and if you guys want to see me do this every single week for all the Premier League game weeks or even for the Champions League and the Europa League, remember to leave a comment down below and remember to subscribe to the channel, guys. I'm trying to hit 11,000 subscribers and I can't do it without you guys. But without further ado, let's get right into this recap. Starting off with the first match, we had Arsenal against Coventry City that was being played on Friday, and Arsenal won 3-0, and it was a very impressive result because Coventry City, in my opinion, were a team that I was expecting to probably get out of the relegation zone this season. Obviously, they are being managed by Frank Lampard, who has some Premier League experience, but in this game, it was all Arsenal. From the second the ref blew the whistle to the end of the game, it was all Arsenal, guys. I don't even remember. I think I remember Coventry maybe having one chance, a header near the end of the game. I think, yeah, this chance right here. This was the only chance they had, pretty much. This last minute header. That was the only real chance they had. Arsenal had 20 total shots, 6 on target, and they were clearly the better team. They were dominant. I thought that Solis, once again, had a good game. Havertz, Saka was very good. Odegaard was very good. And even defensively, I thought Arsenal were very good as well. And yes, it was against a newly promoted team. Yes, it was at home. Yes, they are the current Premier League champions. But I thought this is a very good result for Arsenal coming into the season. Obviously, starting off the season well is a very good indication of things to come. So I think this was a very impressive result by Arsenal and definitely good things to look forward to the second game week. Moving on to Saturday, the first match we had was Hull City against Man United, and for me, this was probably the most unexpected result of the first game week, guys. Hull City 2, Manchester United 0. Honestly, it was a horrible performance by Man United, especially defensively, and I'm not gonna lie, we saw it coming, guys. We saw in some of the preseason games how poor Man United were defensively. I remember that game they played against AC Milan where Luke Shaw was directly the cause of pretty much 3 of AC Milan's goals. And once again, in this game, I just did not think Man United were good defensively. Luke Shaw, Heaven, even Maguire. Yes, he got the highest rating defensively, but even he wasn't that good, guys. We saw on set pieces, we saw on free kicks, off of corner kicks, Man United were not good defensively. Obviously, Hull City scored the goal with Ajayi, and obviously the other goal was from the other defender, Mendy, and Man United just didn't really look good. I thought if you look at the stats, they weren't really as convincing in front of net as I expected them to be. Yes, obviously they were the more dominant team as you'd expect against Hull City, but in front of goal, I expected them to be much better, guys. Look at all these chances they had right in front of the net, every single one. And they're either blocked, they're saved, they go wide, they're horrible shots, they're not powerful enough, the accuracy is bad. So I did pretty much just shit on Man United's defense, but even in the attack, a player like Cunha, a player like Mbumu, I just didn't think they were that good. Dorgu off the left, I thought he was incredibly poor. So this Man United team, I still think they are a good team. I still think they will have a good season. But clearly, I think possibly that change in the midfield, obviously letting Casemiro go and bring in a player like Tielemans, a player like Santos, I think these are good players, but it's gonna take time for them to gel with this team. Defensively, I didn't think they were the best. In the attack, I didn't think they were the best. But in the midfield, I think that was a real big struggle. All around, it wasn't a good performance by Man United. But as for Hull City, the fact that they were dominated in this game by Man United and they still won 2-0, it shows you that, you know, they may be able to do, okay, realistically, probably not. They probably still will finish last place, but this is a very good opening day for Hull City and a very bad one for Man United. Moving on to the next match, we had Everton against Crystal Palace, and to be honest, I expected Everton to get the win in this game, and they did win 2-0. Crystal Palace, I feel like, are a team who in recent years have gone through a lot of big changes. They've lost a lot of big players, and especially recently defensively, they've lost some of their best defenders. They lost their manager, Oliver Glasner, who obviously went to Nottingham Forest, who didn't really have a result go his way either. But Pierre Sage, I haven't really seen too much of him, and to be honest, in this game, I don't think Crystal Palace were that impressive. I didn't really think there was any real standout players. A player like Adam Wharton, who I'm a big fan of, wasn't really a good performance in this game. When if you look at Everton, I feel like Everton are a team who have kind of signed a lot of players who have kind of went under the radar. But this game, I thought they were very good. You know, I thought being managed by David Moyes, obviously he's one of the more experienced managers in the Premier League. I think I did expect them to win this game, and they played exactly how I expected it. It was a very 50-50 game, but they took their chances very well. 5 shots on target, they scored the 2 goals, and I think it was a very good win for Everton. Moving on to the next match, we had Ipswich Town against Sunderland, and this was another game that I didn't really expect this result. Obviously, Ipswich Town won 2-1 with a last-minute winner from Clark, and Sunderland are disappointed in the first match, but Ipswich did have the home advantage. And guys, I want to quickly look at Ipswich Town's signings this summer, because if you don't know, I think they made some very, very good signings. Julio Enciso, I think, is a very good player. Outada, I think, is fantastic. And even a player like Maeda from Celtic, Issa Diop, who was obviously at Fulham, Moroccan defender, very, very strong player. All great signings by Ipswich Town. And going into the season, I thought that they would just get relegated. I think they'll probably finish around 17th or 18th, most likely probably 18th. But Sunderland, I'm a big fan of. I think they have a very good team, but in this game, they just didn't really look up to it. I just didn't think they were clinical enough in front of net. Once again, we saw Sunderland had a decent amount of shots, but like I said, they just weren't clinical enough in front of net. Now, obviously, it is the first game of the season. It is away. A lot of things were going against Sunderland, but I expected them to do a little bit better, at least get a draw. But a 2-1 win for Fulham is a very, very good result. Moving on to the next match, we had Nottingham Forest against Leeds, and this was another game where I predicted Leeds to get a result from this game. A lot of people were predicting Nottingham Forest to win. Everyone was saying that under Oliver Glasner, they're instantly going to be a pretty good team this season. I don't think so. First of all, you have a new manager, and that takes time. So I think coming into the season, it was always going to take time for him to gel with these players. And yes, they made a few good signings. Obviously, the likes of Diomande. He didn't play in this game, but I think he's a very good defender. But if you look at Leeds United, guys, this is another team who have made some incredible signings this summer, guys. For me, 3 of their top tier signings was James Trafford, the goalkeeper, Muharemovic, the center back, and Harry Wilson, the right winger. And now you look at this Leeds United team. Yes, I think Nottingham Forest, they may have more people predicting them to win this game, but I thought Leeds coming to this game, being the underdog, I always thought they were going to get a result, and they did get the result. A late goal by Anton Stack, who I think has been a decent player since he joined Leeds United, and Leeds United get the win. Moving on to the last fixture on Sunday, we had Brentford against Tottenham, and oh my gosh, Tottenham disappoint once again. Actually, did they really disappoint, or is this just regular for Tottenham, guys? Brentford get the 3-0 win at the G-Tech, and to be honest, I predicted Tottenham to win. I'm going to be 100% honest. I did predict Tottenham to win. I know they're playing away, but with the signings that they're bringing in, with the midfielders that they bring in, players like Mateus Fernandes, players like Sandro Tonali, obviously they brought in Ben Heke in the defense. That's already a very solid back line and midfield. And now moving into the attack, they brought in Savinho. They're looking to bring in, obviously, the other Man City striker in Omar Mahmoud. And with that being said, I think Tottenham were going to have a good season, but this is not a good start. Brentford won 3-0. Thiago missed a penalty. It could have been 4. And honestly, they were just clearly the better team in the attack. Tottenham can have as much possession as you need, but Brentford were so dominant in the attack. 26 shots with 8 on target while being dominated on the ball 60 to 40%. Honestly, Tottenham were shameful defensively. Absolutely horrible. Honestly, Van Hecke was poor. Senesi, I thought he didn't have the worst game, but even their goalkeeper Kinski, I mean, man, bro, we've seen this guy. We've seen this guy, last season with some of the mistakes he's done. I don't think he's a horrible goalkeeper, but probably could have done better as well. And Tottenham in the attack, I mean, that's why they're signing players like Savinho and Omar Mahmoud, because Richarlison, Moore, like Gallagher, it's not good. It's not enough. It's not enough from these players. Honestly, I'm not a Tottenham fan, but Brentford were clearly the better team in this game. Coyote with a very good goal. Obviously, we saw a couple other goals. Brentford 100% deserved the win. Moving on to the Sunday fixtures, the first game we had was Brighton against Aston Villa, and I actually predicted Brighton to win this game. I didn't think Aston Villa were going to get the result, and Brighton won 4-0. Now, I didn't expect 4-0, and guys, don't say anything about the red card, because the red card for Gomez was after the 4 goals. Okay, Brighton scored 4 goals in pretty much 30 minutes. And guys, if we look at the stats, the stats tell us how the game went. Brighton were clearly the better team. Aston Villa did nothing this game. Nothing in the attack, nothing in the midfield. they looked tired. And I understand they had a long season. They played a decent amount of games in the summer. Like, I get it. I understand why Aston Villa may be tired coming into this game. And that's why I predicted a Brighton win. Having the home advantage, Aston Villa played a lot of games. I thought Brighton would get the win. But honestly, it was just poured. Like, this was the worst display defensively in the first match week by Aston Villa. Lindelof, Torres, Gomez, obviously in midfield getting the red card. Ian Maatsen, who I've been a big fan of recently. I think he's been pretty good with Aston Villa. Shit! Absolutely trash, guys. Even in my opinion, the best player, John McGinn, was ass. Like, this was just a horrible off day by Aston Villa. I do still think Villa will have a good season, but this game was probably the worst performance of the first game week. The next match we had was Manchester City against Bournemouth, and Bournemouth almost got the win. They were up 1-0 until the 84th minute before Man City got the 2 late goals. But guys, if I'm being completely honest, Man City were 100% the best team. Like 100%. They should have definitely won this game by more. They should have definitely scored earlier on in the match, because I thought they were completely dominant, guys. If we look at the momentum, as you can see, it's all Man City. Man City had more of the possession. You know, Bournemouth, they maybe had a couple decent spells of possession, but Man City were definitely the better team. Haaland, you know, couldn't really finish his chances. He had a few chances as well, guys. He had 5 shots, but he just couldn't finish his chances. And a couple other players also couldn't finish their chances. But Man City were definitely the better team. I think they deserved the 2-1 win. Do I think they look as dominant as Man City fans would like? Probably not. I think if you compare this game by Man City compared to Arsenal's game, Arsenal were clearly the better team. Now I know Coventry and Bournemouth, there's a big discrepancy, but I think Man City, they were the deserved winner, but I still think they probably could have done better. Now Bournemouth aren't a bad team, and obviously that first goal was taken very well by Tavernier, but I think Man City probably still could have done better. I think they should have tried to score at least 3 goals in this game. I predicted a 3-1 win from Man City. It ended 2-1, but I do think they did deserve the win. Moving on to the last match on Sunday, we had Newcastle against Liverpool. And guys, honestly, this was a pretty surprising performance by Newcastle. I feel like they will feel very, very hard done by because of that late penalty to Szoboszlai, who scored in the 99th minute. But in all honesty, I do think it was probably a penalty. Newcastle obviously started off the game on top. They had the home advantage at St. James's Park. And to be honest, I don't think I realized how difficult of an environment this is going to be for Liverpool, mainly because of obviously Alexander Isak and that whole situation that happened. We knew this was going to be a tough game for him. So I wouldn't really blame him. As if you're a Liverpool fan, I wouldn't really blame him, because this is a very, very tough game, a tough environment for him. But if you're a Newcastle fan, I think obviously you would have wanted to win this game, but I don't think you can be mad with the performances of these players, guys. I think in the attack, Osula, Wissa, in my opinion, was arguably one of the best players of the game. I thought Wissa had a very, very good game. He looked unplayable in the attack, creating so much. I think Wissa, if he has a good season with Newcastle, unlike last season, then Newcastle may be a much better team than we expect. Obviously, they still kept players like Lewis Hall. Not sure if he's going to go somewhere in the last week of the transfer window, but if they do keep him, that is a very, very good job by them. And with the loss of Eddie Howe, with the loss of pretty much their whole midfield in Bruno Guimaraes and Tonali, a lot of people were thinking that Newcastle may fall down to the bottom 15. Like, a lot of people are really shitting on Newcastle in their Prem predictions. But honestly, with this performance, guys, if Newcastle can keep the rest of their players, if they can keep the players that they have, I think they may have a decent performance. Like, this was a decent game by Newcastle. It wasn't bad whatsoever. I think they were the better team at certain points. Now, Liverpool overall, I would say we're probably better, and they probably could have scored more. But I thought Newcastle, they defended okay. You know, Liverpool in the attack, maybe probably could have taken their chances better. Like I said, Isak kind of wasn't really the best in this game, but I wouldn't really shut on him too much because it's against his former club, and that's definitely a lot of pressure on him. But at the end of the day, the 2-2 result, I think is fair. And finally, the last match we had was Fulham against Chelsea, guys. And Chelsea won 3-2, maybe not as comfortable as they would have liked. I predicted Chelsea to get the win, but to be honest, at Craven Cottage, for some reason, Fulham, they always seem to perform above their level. And Fulham against Chelsea in recent years, guys, we've seen Fulham beat Chelsea a few times in the last few years. So this was always going to be a very, very tough game for Chelsea. I think getting the win was very, very important. Were they the better team? I think they were the better team going forward. But in terms of holding the ball, holding possession, Fulham were definitely the better team. That's 62% compared to Chelsea's 38%. Now, like I said, Chelsea in the attack, I think they were better. Joao Pedro was very, very good. Rodgers obviously got the second goal, but I want to quickly go over Maxence Lacroix because his assist for that second goal by Morgan Rogers was insane. To push all the way up. And that's something that I've been noticing with Xabi Alonso. You see players like Achimpong, we see players like Lacroix, here and there, they just burst all the way up the pitch and help out with the attack. And that's something that's very interesting and maybe a new sort of tactics that he's trying to instill in these players, which may be very difficult for opponents to defend against. But I thought Chelsea were the better team. Cole Palmer, very good game. And I do think Cole Palmer needs to perform at this level if Chelsea want to have a top 5 finish this season. Him and Morgan Rogers, if they can consistently get goals and assists, which we've seen Cole Palmer do, but in recent years, I feel like he's kind of slowed down a little bit. But if he can get back to that level, if Rogers can continue the level that he's been playing at for recent years, and Joao Pedro, obviously, we know he's a very good striker, then Chelsea will definitely have a very strong force in the attack. Now, defensively, I'm still a little bit scared. Colwell, I didn't think was the best. Sanchez, I'm not really the big fan of him. As a keeper, I'm not really the biggest fan of him. But Lacroix, I do think is a decent player. Achimpong didn't have a bad game. So I thought this was a good performance by Chelsea. In terms of Fulham, I just think defensively they weren't good enough. I think in the attack, we saw obviously Garcia score the header. We saw that early goal from King. I thought they were pretty good, but defensively, they just weren't good enough in my opinion. And Chelsea get the 3-2 win. I think it's a very good result for Chelsea. But I think if you're a Fulham fan, I don't think you can be that mad with this result. I thought you performed pretty good. And if you perform like this against most bottom half teams, you will definitely win almost every single game. So I think for Fulham fans, it's not the worst result. But as for Chelsea fans, I think you're ecstatic with this result. It was very close, maybe not as comfortable as you would like, but a win away from home in the first match day, scoring 3 goals is very impressive. But guys, that is the end of this video. That was my game week 1 recap. And like I said, if you guys want to see me do this for every single game week in the Premier League, remember to leave a comment down below. Remember to like the video and remember to subscribe to the channel, guys. I would really appreciate it. But guys, as always, stay tuned for more videos.